Article 15, Certifications. Section 1, Contract Certification. Every player contract, other than a 10-day contract, needs to be accompanied by a certification sworn separately by the person who executed the player contract on behalf of the team, the player, and the player agent, under penalties of perjury, that the player contract sets forth all components of that player's compensation, and there are no agreements or transactions of any kind concerning any future renegotiation, extension, or other amendment of any existing contract, or entry into a new player contract, or involving comp or consideration of any kind or anything else of value to be paid to the player, or involving an investment or business opportunity to be furnished or made available by, to, or for the benefit of the player. Now, this pertains to contracts that are traded, and it also pertains to if a player within 2 years after the assignment of his player contract enters into a new player contract. The team and the player's agent have to all submit to the NBA a certification no later than 60 days following the execution of that new player contract, renegotiation, extension, or other amendment of the player contract. If an agent or player or team fails or refuses to provide a certification, the NBA will have the option to approve or disapprove the transaction. Section 2, End of Season Certification. At the conclusion of each NBA season, a governor and the executive primarily responsible for basketball ops on behalf of the team will submit a certification as well. And it will, under the penalties of perjury, swear that the team has not violated the terms of Article 14, Section 1, violated the terms of Article 13, Section 2, or received from the NBA League Office any communication disclosing that an NBA team has negotiated with any free agent prior to the execution of a player contract. Article 16, Mutual Reservation of Rights. Upon the expiration or termination of this agreement, no person shall be deemed to have waived their respective rights under law with respect to any issue or their ability to advance any legal argument. Article 18, Travel accommodations, locker room facilities, and parking. Section 1, Hotel arrangements. Each team agrees to use its best efforts to make the following arrangements for its players while they are, quote, on the road. They need to have their bags picked up by porters, stay in first-class hotels, and have extra-long beds available to them in every hotel. If there's a finding that the team has not done so willfully, then the NBA will have a $5,000 fine on the team. When the players are on the road, the team needs to provide individual hotel rooms for every player. Section 2, First-Class Travel. Each team will provide first-class travel accommodations on all trips that are in excess of 1 hour, and the team will again have a $5,000 fine if they do not do so. Section 4, Parking facilities. Section 3 and 4 talk about locker room facilities and parking facilities. Now, obviously, the locker room facilities need to be up to par, tip-top. And with respect to parking facilities, they are available free of charge to the players. Section 5, Hotel incidents. If a player refuses to pay an incidental charge to a hotel room, he will be subject to the following discipline. The first 2 occasions, there'll be a maximum fine of $100, and anything subsequent to that, the discipline will be whatever is reasonable under the circumstances, which is basically nothing, or a slap on the wrist, seems like. Section 2, 2A players. Section 1, 2, and 5 that was just mentioned will not apply to any 2A player traveling between its NBA team and NBA G League team. Article 19, Union Security Dues and Checkoff. Section 1, Membership. Any active player who is or later becomes a member in good standing of the Players Association must maintain his membership in good standing, and any active player, including a player in the future who is not a member in good standing, must on the 30th day following the beginning of his employment or the 30th day following the execution of this agreement, whichever is later, pay financial core obligations to the Players Association. These are, quote, the financial core fees. Section 2, checkoff. Each team, following its receipt of the requisite authorization form, will check off the initiation fee and annual dues, assessments, and financial core fees in equal installments from the first 4 payments made thereafter to the player via paragraph 3A of the uniform player contract, or from such lesser number of payments made thereafter as provided for by Exhibit 1 to that contract for each player for whom a current checkoff authorization has been provided to the team. Section 3. Upon written notification to the NBA by the Players Association that a player hasn't paid any initiation fees, dues, or financial core fees, the NBA will raise the matter for discussion with the player and his team, and if there's no resolution within 7 days, the team will, upon written request of the Players Association, suspend the player without pay, wherever legal. Now, a quote, member in good standing applies only to the payment of dues or initiation fees, and not to any other factors involved in union discipline. No team shall pay any initiation fees, dues, or financial core fees on behalf of any player. Section 4, no liability. Neither the NBA or any teams shall be liable for any salary, bonus, or other monetary or non-monetary claims that result from a player being suspended via the terms of Section 3. Article 20, scheduling. Section 1, training camp. Veteran players will not be required to attend training camp earlier than the 22nd day prior to the first game at 11 a.m. On that 22nd day, they may only be required to attend a team dinner, team meetings, photographs and media sessions, and submit to a physical examination. If a vet is under contract with a team that is scheduled to play outside of the USA in an exhibition during the first 10 days of the regular season, then they may be required to attend the training camp on the 25th day prior to the first game. Rookies may be required to attend training camp on a date earlier than the date specified for the vets, but no earlier than 10 days prior to the date that the vets are required to attend. Team training camps may be held in any location within or outside of the United States and Canada. The NBA is required to notify the Players Association of its intention to have the training camp outside of the USA and Canada. And within 3 business days, the Players Association can disapprove the plans, and they may be based solely on a reasonable finding that it is a concern for the player's safety to have that training camp outside of the U.S. or Canada. Now, no team shall hold its training camp outside of the U.S. or Canada in any 2 successive seasons. Players will have at least 1 day off following the travel back to the USA from a training camp that is held outside of the USA. During any 6 days beginning on the day after the first day of training camp and ending on the 14th day of training camp, this is, quote, the 2-a-day period, teams are permitted to conduct no more than 2 regular practice sessions per day, and they may last no longer than 3.5 hours, and there must be at least 2-hour intervals in between practice sessions, and one of the 2 sessions must be limited to non-contact activities. For the remainder of training camp, no more than 1 regular practice session per day, and it may last no longer than 3.5 hours. Provided, however, that if the team is unable due to international travel to conduct 2 practice sessions per day, then they can make up any missed practice sessions up to a max of 2 during the first 5 days upon the team's return from that international travel. Now, a team will not at a separate time during the day conduct, organize, or supervise any additional basketball activity on the basketball court if they had 1 or 2 practices in a particular day. Nothing will prohibit a team from conducting 1 or 2 regular practices plus on-court skills development sessions not involving live defense, i.e. dummy defense, can be played, or team-related or training-related activities, including weight training, video sessions, meetings, and promotional appearances, as long as they do not include any basketball activity on the basketball court that is organized, supervised, or conducted by the team. Section 2, exhibition games. Exhibition games prior to any regular season will not exceed 6 and exhibition games during the regular season cannot exceed 3. Exhibition games cannot be played on the 3 days prior to the team's first regular season game in the USA and Canada, and on the prior day to a regular season game, or on the day prior to and the day following the All-Star game. Section 4, location and scheduling of games. The number of days beginning on the date of the first regular season game and continuing through the date of the last regular season game of each season will equal approximately 177 days. Section 5, holidays. No team will be required to play a game on December 25 unless that game is to be telecast or nationally televised. Games scheduled to be played on January 1 and Good Friday won't begin prior to 6 p.m. local time unless the Players Association consents. Teams at home on December 25 and January 1 may, but won't be required to conduct a practice on either or both of those holidays, provided the team's players have requested, and within 7 days before or after the holiday, the team's players are provided with a day off. Now, teams will not depart for an away game or series of away games prior to 3 p.m. on December 25 or January 1. Section 6, All-Star. No team that plays a game on the Thursday prior to the All-Star game will play a game on the Tuesday following the All-Star game or conduct a practice prior to that Tuesday at 2 p.m. Section 7, Travel. No team will be required to play a scheduled game on the same day that the team has traveled across 2 time zones. Section 8, Days Off. Each team will provide a minimum of 18 days off during each regular season for the players on dates to be determined by the team. A quote day off means a calendar day on which a player is not required or permitted to participate in any team-directed activities, including but not limited to games, practices, travel, or promotional activities. Now, in addition to what was just said about days off, they are provided during All-Star Weekend only with respect to players not participating in All-Star activities and in locations other than the team's home city, such as when the team is, quote, on the road. A calendar day will not fail to meet the definition of a day off because the team is traveling on that day, provided the team lands at its destination airport before 1 a.m. on that day. For a player whose contract is a rest-of-season contract, the team will provide a minimum number of days off, rounded up or down to the nearest whole day off, calculated by multiplying 18 by a fraction. The numerator is the number of days remaining in the NBA regular season as of the date that rest-of-season contract was signed, and the denominator is the total number of days in the regular season. Teams are not required to provide any days off to a player whose contract is a 10-day contract or a 2-way contract. A player contract that is assigned via trade or waiver procedure, the assigner team's obligation will be deemed satisfied, and the acquiring team will provide the player with the minimum number of days off during that regular season, calculated as if the player has entered into a rest-of-season contract, in the case of a trade on the date that all conditions of the trade are satisfied, and in the case of a waiver claim on the date that the acquiring team acquires the player's contract. In the event that any season does not include at least 82 game schedules or an 82-game schedule, the requirements will not apply, and the NBA and Players Association will negotiate an alternate day off rule for that season. Article 21, NBA All-Star Game. Section 1, Participation. Any player selected is required to attend and participate in the game, in one All-Star Skills competition, not including the dunk contest, and in every other event conducted in association with All-Star Weekend, including a reasonable number of media sessions, TV appearances, and promo appearances. Any player selected to the rookie-sophomore game, same deal. A player who has not been selected to the All-Star game or rookie game, but has been selected to participate in All-Star Skills competition, not including the dunk contest, is required to attend. And no player will be required to attend and participate for more than 2 consecutive years unless he's the prior year's winner. Any player who voluntarily agrees to participate in the dunk contest is required to attend. Nothing will preclude a player who is an officer or rep of the Players Association from attending the annual meeting during All-Star Weekend or the Players Association All-Star Party. A player will not be required to participate if he has been excused from participation because he has an injury or for some other reason that the commissioner may determine in his sole discretion. If a player says that he's injured, he's required to submit a medical examination proving that. And in the event that the player is excused, he'll remain on his team's inactive list until he is cleared to return on the active list. Any player who is excused from participation will not receive the All-Star award unless he doesn't play in his team's last regular season game prior to the All-Star game, or he doesn't play in his team's first game following the All-Star game. Section 2, Awards. Now, the awards for the All-Star game are listed on 342 and 343. Some interesting ones. Each player on the winning team gets $50K. Each player on the losing team gets $25K for the All-Star game. For the rookie-sophomore game, each player on the winning team gets $25K. The losing team gets $10K. First place slam dunk champion, $100,000. First place three-point shootout, $50K. And for the skills competition, the first place gets $50K. Shooting stars team gets $60K. Section 3, Player Guests. Each player can invite 2 guests who will be reimbursed for the cost of round-trip first-class airfare between the home city of the team that the player plays at and the site of the All-Star game. Section 4, Players not participating in All-Star activities. They get 3 days off during All-Star weekend. Section 5, All-Star Skills Competitions. These competitions will be selected by the NBA, provided, however, that the NBA has to obtain consent of the Players Association. That concludes Articles 15 through 21, pages 324 to 343, covering certifications, travel accommodations, union security dues, scheduling, and the All-Star game. Happy studying. See you at the top.